All right, so sitting comfortably so that your spine feels supported and your chest feels open. Right, the kind of the neck and throat long, right, so the breath can come easily. Right, just that balance, head over heart and rib cage over pelvis. And just for a moment, eyes open, using your vision, right, just to check in with your peripheral vision, almost sensing what's behind you, around you, above you, below you, without moving the eyes so much, right? You're just kind of widening the scope of your vision. And then looking at your nose, like draw your attention closer in, your eyes. You can see your nose. You can even put your finger on your nose. And then again, opening the eyes, looking out in the room. If you have a window, looking out of the window, or in your room, looking the furthest that you can see. And letting your gaze soften as you look far. Good. And then just looking around your space, maybe identify a couple objects. Just name the objects in your mind. Looking behind you, around you, above you. It's really taking in the space around you, your environment. And then coming for a moment, eyes closed. And checking into your inner environment. Maybe aware of the beat of your heart. If you can feel it, if you can't feel it, maybe put hands on the side of your fingers on the side of your neck or hands over your heart in your armpit. Aware of your breath, how your breath is moving in your body. Just even feeling how you're sitting and the pressure of the floor, the blanket or chair, or whatever you're sitting on. And then let's open eyes again. I'm just going to bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. And we're going to do a breath through the mouth, open mouth. So you can even make a round with your mouth, make a round shape, just to draw the breath in. It'll be a little shorter and faster, sounding more like, it's like a gasp. And the exhale, almost like a sigh. So the inhale and exhale will be through the mouth. And again, a little, even though it's moving faster than our normal breathing, it's keeping it somewhat diffuse and easy. And the inhale flowing into the exhale to the inhale. We'll do 5. So inhaling, lower hand, upper hand, exhale, sigh. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, lower hand, upper hand. Exhale. 2 more. Find your rhythm. And pause at the end of the exhale. And inhale more slowly. Filling in lower hand, upper hand. Pause at the top of the inhale. softening, expanding around that suspended breath, and then exhale. Hands on your legs, just noticing eyes open or eyes closed. Just noticing the sensation in the body, noticing the change in your breath. Any, again, sensation, warmth, cool, tingling, dull. And let's do it again. Eyes open or eyes closed. Again, listening for the rhythm of breath that feels good to you. If you get too much pressure in the head or tingling, again, make it more diffuse. Maybe it comes in a little more slowly. Okay, 5 more. Inhale, lower hand, upper hand. Exhale, side. Inhale. Exhale. Diffuse and easy, expansive. Exhale. Body inviting the breath in. Exhale, easily release of the breath out. 2 more. And then eyes, or actually let's keep pause at the bottom of the exhale. And then inhale, filling bowl of the pelvis, base of the pelvis, waist, front, back, sides, ribs, front, back, sides, top. Pause again. Softening around that pause. And exhale. And hands on thighs, just noticing. Do you feel more awake, more dull, more energy, less energy? And then palms together in front of the heart. And we'll make the sound Om, feeling the vibration through your body and using the breath, right? So maybe it's a long, slow Om vibrating through your body and moving out into your environment. Inhaling. Om. Okay, let's come onto our backs. So laying on your back with your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. Let's take the arms straight out from the shoulder. Good, and let's play with a little bit of anterior tilt. So the hips stay on the floor. I'm just gonna roll down the length of the sacrum towards the tailbone, towards the sitting bones. And then up the length of the sacrum, still letting the pelvis, letting the structures be heavy. As I roll up the length of the sacrum to the top of the sacrum, feeling the waist, even the lower ribs, sink back into the floor, right? So the pelvis is tucked, sitting bones up. And then inhale, rolling down the length of the sacrum towards the tailbone. And rolling up the length of the sacrum to the waist. And again, anterior tilt and posterior tilt. One more, anterior tilt. Letting your breath be part of, if not initiating the movement. Exhale. Right, the belly empties with the exhale. Little posterior tilt. One more just to feel. Inhale, the belly fills. Right, front body fills more. Moving us a little bit more into a back bend. And then as you exhale, the belly empties, the ribs shrink, back body lengthens. Good, and coming to neutral. So I'm going to take my right ankle on my left thigh, just above my knee. And let's do two more. Inhaling, anterior tilt or arch, back bend. And then posterior tilt with the exhale. Again, letting the breath almost lead the body. Okay, so the movement happens more from our sensory around the breath than our mind. So we have that ability to listen. Another second one if you haven't already. And then I'm just going to lift that left leg up and either take hold behind the left thigh or the shin, around the shin. Just pause here for a couple breaths. And I'm just going to play with letting that left thigh move slightly left and towards the left breast. Doesn't have to be a big movement. And then maybe just tuning into where your tailbone is, right? So my pelvis feels a little posteriorly tilted. So I'm just going to let my tailbone have a little more weight. Not changing the shape that much. And then I'm just going to play with turning the tailbone to the right. Like a very, very slow tail wag. And then letting the tailbone come back to center and turning the tailbone to the left. And if I think about that triangular shape of the sacrum, at the bottom of that triangle, turning to the side, left side of the room. And coming back to center. And left foot on the floor, right foot on the floor. Noticing what you notice in your body. Good, and then the other side. So left ankle onto the right thigh, just above the knee. Again, that little anterior tilt. With the inhale, right, belly gets full, chest gets full, back arches, and exhale. Belly empties, ribs shrink, back body lengthens into the floor. And again, inhaling. And exhaling. And then I'm going to take that right knee up and interlace around the back of the right thigh or around the shin. Just pause for breath, noticing what's happening in your body. And then I'm taking that right leg to the right a little, because the tightness of the left hip is pulling it to the left. And then maybe up towards the right breast. Softening, softening. Okay, again, aware of the tailbone, right? That bottommost part of the triangle, the top of the triangle being the widest part and the bottom of the triangle being the narrowest, the tailbone. Tailbone turning towards the left. And that subtle, slow movement. Sometimes the slower we move and the more subtle we move, the deeper we have, the deeper impact. Right, less surface impact and more close to the bone. Coming back to center and then turning the tailbone to the right. Again, noticing your breath. And tailbone back to center. Good, and right foot on the floor, left foot on the floor. Noticing. Okay. Right ankle on that left knee again, left thigh. So left foot is staying somewhat flat on the floor. And I'm going to let my pelvis just tip to the right. Again, so the outer edge of the left foot stays somewhat down. Somewhat, doesn't have to be fixed. And then rolling back to center and then tipping to the left. And center. So it's not my biggest side to side movement, right? Keeping the foot somewhat down. Tipping right. Slow enough so that I can roll across the back of the pelvis. And tipping left. And noticing things in your body. So some of us tend to lift the ribs, or especially the lower ribs and lower back, off the floor as we twist. So letting the weight of the body, like the weight of the rib cage, the weight of the pelvis and the waist, the weight of the organs on the spine, maintain, right? Maintain its connection to the earth as you roll. And maybe it might make the roll smaller, or it might make it more different. Good, last one, tipping right. Rolling center, tipping left. Center. And right foot on the floor. And notice. And left side, left ankle, right thigh. And same thing, right foot is staying somewhat neutral on the floor, right? I'm not rolling fully to the outer edge of the foot. Center and left. Center and right. Find the cadence that works for your body. Slower is a little more unwinding. Quicker is a little more engaging or activating in the tissue. See if you can, again, match the movement with the breath. Move the body from the breath. Sometimes we take our busy mind and we direct from the busy mind. Good. Trying to balance that direction and listening. Right and left. Last time to the right. And center. And left foot on the floor. Okay, so let's take it a little further. So this time both feet on the floor. You can take the feet a little wider. Dropping knees right. And putting a little press into that left foot to send the left hip to the ceiling and over to the right. Maybe let the head roll in the opposite direction of the knees. And then hips back to the floor, head back to center. Knees drop left slowly, head rolls to the right. Again, press into the feet just a little, right hip moving towards the ceiling to the left. You even take that right arm slightly up at a diagonal away from the right knee. And then gently roll back onto the floor. Knees drop right. Head rolling. Maybe left arm moves up diagonally from that left knee. Pressing into the feet, moving a little, getting a little space, little engagement in the front hip center. One more time left. Rolling through center, feel center, and right. Again, noticing if your back is arching. And letting the back body maybe activate a little less. Okay, let's come back to center. We're going to change it a little bit. I'm just going to turn my position. All right, so I'm tipping right. Going to let my hips get heavy, let my right leg get heavy. Left leg's going to trace around the right leg, right? Meaning tracing along the floor. So left shoulder stop, trying to stay on the floor as that left leg traces around towards the right leg. And back again, doing the best you can. And knees up to center. Knees drop left. Again, hips get very heavy so that that right leg can move from the anchoring of the hips. Right shoulder, left hip are heavy. Right leg traces around, sneaking towards the left hand. Retraces back to where it started. Hips come back to center. Tip right. Left leg travels, hips are heavy, shoulders heavy. And retrace, knees to center, knees drop left. And swing or slide or trace or glide that right leg around towards the left hand. And center and right. Just tracing the left leg around. Retrace and center. Tip left and trace. Trace back to center. And pause. Okay, let's do one more to the right. So knees fall right, left leg travels. The left leg can even stay bent. You can hook the right hand on that outer left leg or straighten the leg, take both toes, ankle. And I'm gonna let that left arm slide along the floor towards the body, straight arm. So the shoulder can stay somewhat back, left shoulder, as that left arm comes close to the spine, back of the body. And then I'm gonna let that left arm trace up or slide up the back side of the body, gliding along the body, around the hip, down that outer length of the leg. And leg can be bent, reaching, right? So I'm reaching away as if the center or the shoulder joint were the center of the circle, reaching past the thigh, past the foot, past the hand. Just that dynamic quality as I trace a big circle around the shoulder and the head. The arm may float above the floor and may be able to trace along the floor. Big circle coming around back to where we started. And then I'm going to reverse. So left arm, again, maybe the left shoulder is heavier on the floor than it was before, maybe. And then tracing up, reversing, right? Tracing up and around the head. And around the right shoulder. And reaching away from the center point. Around the opposite hand and foot and leg. Sliding along that leg. Reaching past that leg. Head is somewhat passive, so you feel the relationship arm to neck to head. Sliding around that left hip, along the back side of the body, to the floor, and back out to where we started. Good, and let that left leg retrace back to center, pause. And knees tip left. Right leg traces around the left leg, again, as much as you can. It can be, again, you can keep the knee bent, or straighten, hold the knee, hold the foot, shin, ankle. Whatever allows you to keep breathing. Okay, right arm slides close to the body along the back. And then up along the back around the hip. Again, reaching past the leg as you slide along the leg. Past the knee, the shin, the foot. Past the opposite hand. Again, tracing as close to the floor as you're able. Around the shoulder, around the head, and back to where we started, straight out to the side from the shoulder. And then reversing that, take that right arm up and around, right? Feeling the body roll, softening the body so that it can roll. Right? So I'm rolling from the back to one side. Reaching past hand, foot, leg, knee, thigh as I'm tracing that circle. Arm can even slide along the body so you have that nice contact, touch. Around the hip, along the back, to the floor, and back straight out from the shoulder. Good, releasing that right leg. Coming back onto your back. And pause. Oh. And then roll to your side. And keep rolling, turning your chest and your head to the floor and use your hands to press up. So we are going to come onto hands and knees. You can put something, you can put cushion under your knees if that helps. Or you can do it from child's pose. Or even sitting, maybe just doing arms or legs. So palms under shoulders, knees under hips. I'm just going to play with bringing right knee in under the body towards the nose, letting the back round, head towards the knee, letting the spine lift, and then extending, crown of the head forward, right leg back and up. Keep that sense of a lift of the ribs, that fullness. Right front body lifting into back body. And again, right knee comes down and in. Knee to the nose, nose to the knee, rounding the back. Good, letting the pubic bone almost lift up towards the belly button. Letting that lower back round. And then extending that right leg back and up, crown of the head forward. One more time. So this time as I bring my knee to my nose, I'm also going to so my right hand and my left knee are going to stabilize me. I'm going to bring my left elbow towards that right knee. Squeeze them together. Lift. Like the spine round the back. And then slowly extend. Right leg back and up. Left arm forward with the crown of the head. Maybe pulling the right hand and left knee towards each other just to feel that balance from underneath. And then hand and knee down. Good. Other side. So left knee comes in. Rounding. You can even do this laying on your back. And then extending. So I'm still remembering that sense of lifting the front body into the back body as I extend that left leg back. Crown of the head forward. And slowly left knee in.
to the nose, rounding, lifting, noticing which part of the spine rounds easier, what has a harder time. Can you find space along the whole back line of the body? And then extending that left leg back. Spine is still lifted. You're still moving towards the navel. Okay. Left knee comes in, rounding. Gonna take that right elbow to the left knee, just squeeze them together. Again, I'm organizing left hand to right knee as that right arm reaches forward, left leg reaches back. Lifting front body into back body. And then both hand and knee down. Okay. And let's take left leg out to the side. Hands and knees. You can probably do this sitting, just sitting with one leg extended. So from here, I'm actually just going to walk. Well, actually curl the back toes under and just pull the hips back towards the back heel. And just stretching the back toes and that straight leg inner thigh, and shift forward and back and forward and back. Good. And then coming forward, and I'm going to come up to kneel. Good. And if you're seated, you're going to do the same thing. So first I'm going to go towards my straight leg. So my toes, left toes are pointing forward, which can be a little challenging. You can turn them out a little if that's too challenging. Left hand on the left leg, right arm up and over. Good. And then coming up, right hand in line with the right knee under the right shoulder, left arm up and over. Long side body. And again, pressing or pulling legs towards each other, coming up and tipping over the straight leg. And again, pulling the legs towards each other to come up and tipping to the right. Right hand down, left arm up and over. Good, one more time, up. This time as I come over, I'm in this side bend. And then I'm going to rotate my side bend. I'm going to turn towards that straight leg. Right hand down near the left or on the floor or on your hip. Just turning the breastbone towards that left leg. Letting the back round so that as I come into my side bend, I'm still aware of that back body space. Long, wide, and coming up and over to the other side. Right, some of us tend to favor back bends, some of us forward bends. Left arm up and over. Notice are the ribs pushing forward or pulling back. So letting the body round. I'm going to bring that left hand down now, parallel to the right, letting that roundness come into the back and the rotation. Spreading the back body so that as I come back up, I have that sense of my back body. And coming up, hands forward, sitting back one last time, stretching those back leg toes, and come forward. And let's switch. So right leg out to the side, just changing angle. Toes pointing forward, palms under shoulders. So turning the back toes under and just pulling hips back. And forward, hips back, and forward. One more, hips back, and forward. And then coming up to kneel. So I'm pulling the legs towards each other to come up. And even letting the hips press forward just a little bit, just so the hips are over the knee. And then right hand down to the right leg, left arm up and over. Little side bend. And coming up, left hand comes under the left shoulder in line with the left knee, right arm up and over. Just noticing my two side bodies are very different. Again, pulling the legs towards each other to come up, tipping right. Good, hips still moving forward or in line, and tipping left. And again, tipping right. Good. Now moving into the rotation. Left hand can meet the right hand, can float, can come to the floor, depends on your body relationships, flexibility, and then coming back up. Tipping over that straight leg, and then left hand down, right arm to the ceiling and overhead. Again, I'm going to round right hand towards the floor. And then back up to the ceiling and overhead. Good, and then coming back up. And hands right under shoulders. Again, I'm just going to pull back and shift forward, knees together. Okay, so toes together, knees slightly apart, just to give those knees a break, and slide the arms forward. Little child's pose. Good. Just breathing into that under shoulder, top shoulder, side body, side ribs, back ribs. Good. Let's walk the hands to the right. So my left hand is just sliding away from that left hip away from the left hand. And coming to center and then over to the other side. Walking left. Right hand away from right hip. Again, just breathing into whatever you're finding. And it might be different side to side. And center. And hands under shoulders. And hands and knees. Okay, so let's just come into one downward facing dog. Right, so I'm just going to actually shift my weight forward just to prepare the finger pads and ball of hand and webbing of hand, and shift back and up. Knees can lift, knees can stay bent. And then knees down, shifting forward past the hands, feeling how the shoulder blades engage, or there's an organization in the back, maybe into the waist, and shift back, lift the knees. Knees can stay bent, but feeling what's happening in the hands and the shoulders, in the feet, in the waist. One more time, knees down, shifting forward. And that slight engagement in between, right, the pubis and the lower ribs, that lift up into the body. The pressure in the hands and the ball of the hand and the shoulders, or engagement, or activation, or organization. So as you shift back and knees lift, that those places feel awake. Okay, and I'm just going to walk my feet halfway forward, walk my hands back, bend my knees, let my ribs rest on my thighs, my head hang. And I'm going to straighten one leg, right leg. Left leg stays bent or almost straight. And bend the right leg and then straighten the left leg. Right leg can stay bent. Spreading through the foot, spreading wide through the foot, long through the foot. And bend, switch sides again, right leg straightens. Notice the difference in the legs. Where do you feel it in this leg? What do you feel? What's the sensation like? What is the breath's response? What's the body's response? And bend, other side. Again, noticing your breath, the sensation, your response to the sensation. And bend both knees. Let's straighten both legs. Can you let the ribs, the shoulders, the arms, the neck, the head be led by gravity? Bend your knees and slowly round up to stand. Okay. You can use a chair for balance. You can use a wall for balance. And I'm just going to take my sticky mat out to the side just because I'm going to slide just a little bit. But depends on what works for you. Okay, so feet parallel. I'm just going to bend both legs. I'm bending the knees. And straighten and bend and straighten. My calves are very tight, bend and straighten. Now turn the toes out, heels in, bend and straighten, bend and straighten, and toes in, bend. Again, just warming up the ankles. And feet straighten, bend. And straighten. Okay, feet parallel. Adding an element, bend. And straighten and lift the heels up. And lower, bend. Straighten, lift. And lower. This time bend, lift the heels, keep the bend of the knees. Straighten the legs. And lower. Again, bend, lift the heels, use all your toes, straighten, keep using your toes, and lower, toes out, heels in, bend, straighten, lift, lower, bend, straighten, lift, lower. Okay, let's try bending, lifting the heels, straightening the legs, and lower. Bend, lift the heels, straighten the legs, and lower. Okay, toes in, bend, straighten, lift, and lower. Bend, straighten, lift and lower. Bend again. Lift the heels. Straighten the legs and lower. Doesn't matter what your hands are doing. Bend, lift the heels, straighten and lower. Yay! Okay, so we're just going to play with a couple of elements. So I'm using the leg that's furthest away from you just because we're going to add something to it. So I'm just going to play. The standing leg can be bent. I'm just going to kick. Right, I'm standing on my right leg, left leg forward. left leg back, left leg forward, left leg back. Again, just playing, like giving the standing leg a little bit of a challenge. And forward and back. One more, forward and back. Okay, other side. And use your gaze. It's hard to stare at the screen while you do this. So I'm standing on the left leg, right leg swings forward and back and forward and back. Again, standing leg can be bent, can be straight, but can be bent. Forward and back. Notice where your gaze is, forward and back. Good. Yay. Okay, now we're just going to add an element. Standing on right leg, doesn't matter which leg, but I'm turned away from you or turned sideways for a reason, you'll see. So I'm just gonna, again, swing, left leg forward, right leg back. Left leg forward, left leg back. And then I'm gonna swing that leg forward again, spin on the foot, and step wide. And bend, straighten. Should we just keep going? Okay, so I'm gonna shift. So the leg that was swinging, I'm gonna shift onto that leg, turn towards that leg, and I'm gonna kick the standing leg up, warrior three. And bring it down, swing it around the other leg, and let's do the other side. Okay, kick forward with the right leg or opposite leg back, forward, back, kick forward, pivot on the standing leg, turn. Bend both knees, picking something up, not sure what, but I'm picking it up. And then I'm gonna turn towards the leg that was swinging, torso towards that leg, reaching the back leg, same arm away from that leg, opposition, and then reach the opposite arm, the standing leg, the new standing leg, away from the reaching arm. Warrior three. And down, pivot around. Other side. Okay, left leg swings forward and back. Forward and back. Swings forward and pivot on the standing leg. Bend both knees. Wide stance, bend both knees. Drop, lift, turn now towards the leg that was swinging. Back leg that's reaching, opposite arm reaches forward. Step up, warrior three. And down, and turn around. Okay, swing, right leg forward and back, forward and back, forward, pivot sideways, step, little squat, and up, turn towards the leg that was swinging, now becomes the standing leg, back leg reaching, same arm reaching away from, opposition, kick up that leg, kick it up. Standing leg can be bent, can be straight. And down, and spin around. Second side. Or, are we doing this the third time? Yes, let's do it the third time. Swing left leg forward, and back. Forward, and back. Forward, and out to the side as I pivot on that standing leg foot. Squat. Gather something up. Turn towards that leg that was swinging, now becomes a standing leg. Reach, kick up the back leg. Pause, breathe, listen. Lower, spin around. Second side. Swing, forward, back. Forward, back. Kick it out as you turn away from Turn it a half angle. Gather it up. Turn towards the bent leg or towards that leg that was swinging. Back leg kicks up into warrior three. Standing leg can be bent or straight. And lower. Spin around. And stand. Yay. Feet wide. Toes forward. And I'm just going to shimmy the hips to the right and left. Just moving. Need some movement of the hip joint. Good. Okay, and then little side body again. So I'm just going to slide the right hand down the right leg, left arm up and over. And then reverse. Slide left hand down, right arm up and over. And reverse. And up and reverse. Good. Okay. And then from here, chin to chest. Right as the head comes down, the breastbone moves back, letting the back round, upper back, middle back, lower back. I'm going to round down over my legs. Good. Slide the hands forward. So my hips are going to stay over my legs. My legs are vertical, arms reaching forward. Arms, upper body more in a downward dog shape. Letting the feet spread, widen, soften. Then walk the hands back. Round the back. So I'm going to start from the tailbone. I'm going to curl the tailbone forward. All right, so as the tailbone moves down and forward, the top of the sacrum starts to pull back. The lower back rounds up on top of the sacrum. Middle back, upper back, shoulders, head. One more time. Head, face falls forward, breastbone back. So I'm feeling that rounding, upper back, middle back. That juncture between the ribs and the top of the lower back, and then the length of the lower back, bottom of the lower back, top of the sacrum. And then the sacrum spills forward. Hands walk forward. Again, that just a little downward dog feeling. Spreading the feet. Spreading the backs of the legs. Good. And then again here, maybe even start to curl the tailbone down and forward to slide the hands in. Just roll the sacrum upright to round the lower back up. Round the rib cage up, shoulders up, neck and head up. Good. Bring the heels towards each other. Toes, heels, toes, heels, toes. Okay. Coming back to your sticky mat. Okay. Grabbing. We have our blocks here. Blanket. Just gonna lay on my back. So I'm going to take my two blocks. I'm going to put them at the middle height, right? So this is the lowest height, middle height, highest height. You can do highest height. That feels really good. But we're going to start with the middle height. And I'm gonna angle my blocks. So the blocks that are closer to the head side are gonna be closer together. And the edge of the block that's closer to the feet is gonna be further apart. So it's a little bit of a angle like this. I'm gonna walk my feet a little close to the body. You can also use a blanket. Lift the heels, little posterior tilt, right? Scooping the tailbone up into the backs of the legs, sitting bones up into the backs of the legs, rounding the lower back. Lift the hips. I'm gonna slide those blocks under the body, under the pelvis. And then lower the hips down. So I have the blocks not all the way in, so they're basically framing the sacrum. So they're on that edge between the flesh of the buttocks, the gluteus muscles, and the edge of the sacrum. And then I'm going to, right, let the hips be heavy. Good. Press into the block with the hips, lift the ribs up and move them away from the block just to get a little more length through the back line of the body, a little more softening down of the front body. And just allowing the buttocks muscles to soften, to receive the block. Again, if this is, we're also kind of close to the sciatic nerve. So if you start to feel any tingly or kind of not helpful nerve sensation, you can either lower the block or bring the blocks all the way together so you're not right on the sciatic nerve. It's that edge, that dance of trying to compress the tissue without compressing the nerve. Okay, so I'm gonna let my feet stay wide and take the knees wide. And just notice, breathe. Again, notice if the back wants to arch away from the floor or push towards the floor. See if you can just soften whatever response the spine has. Maybe notice why. Softening the jaw. It could be just a new shape. Be a habit. Maybe the block needs to be in a different position. Just a couple more breaths here. And really feeling the inhale and the exhale, just acknowledging them. They don't really have to change, but just really noticing. Noticing the breath. Good. And then let's slowly bring the knees back up. Good. You can take the feet a little wider and maybe even straighten the right leg. Again, noticing if the spine pushes away from the floor or if the pelvis starts to tip pubis towards the floor. We almost want to keep the pelvis somewhat neutral as that right leg extends. And then your choice. You can either bend the right leg, straighten the left leg, or straighten both legs. Again, we're ideally moving the tissue in the front hip as opposed to arching the lower back. Just another breath or two. And then bending the knees again. Feet closer to the body, lift the heels, pressing into the ball of the foot. Just that little, again, little posterior tilt. Roll the tailbone and sitting bones up into the back of the leg. And then lift. And slowly roll the spine down. Right, so the legs can support the body weight and lay it down, lay each segment of the spine down. Rib cage, a juncture between rib cage and lumbar. Length of lumbar, lumbar to sacrum, and sacrum. And then you can take those blocks and either put those under your thighs or the blanket under your thighs, or you can lay flat. I'm gonna put blocks under thighs and then blanket on belly, belly and thighs. And letting your body settle back into the support, whatever support you have, like the floor, the block, even softening into that, the heat support of the blanket, or the weight support of the blanket. Letting your legs completely relax, roll out. Arms roll out if they need to, just allowing space. Side ribs, armpit areas, so the ribs can move. Maybe even take 2 very diffuse breaths through the mouth on the inhale and the exhale, right? That slow movement in. And slow diffuse movement out. Different than the breath we had in the beginning. With almost a breath, like the wind moving the water. Breeze across the ocean. And then feeling the breath, and after you've done a couple through the mouth, closing the mouth, through the nose, feeling the buoyancy of the breath, how it moves the body. And letting the breath still be somewhat diffuse and easy, so that it can almost move the body, but not be confined by the body.
And letting the body settle even more. Letting your, just the awareness of your thoughts, the content, pacing, and then letting it almost drop into the breath. Just for a moment. You can pick it back up again. Same, maybe even just acknowledging the emotions, feeling, the quality, the temperature, the speed. And then let it again drop into the breath. And then let your breath drop into the bigger breath. The movement of air. The shoulders, neck, jaw, face, tongue, mouth, eyes, softening. And one more. Just scan through the body, the legs, the arms, the torso, the breath, the face. Offering just kindness and tenderness. And then when you're ready, just a little bit of movement, trying to maintain that softness. That connection to the breath. And gently roll to your side and moving but soft. And then continue to roll, turning towards the floor as you press into your hands and come up. Good, eyes open or eyes closed. Awareness of your environment around you and within you. Even a specific point outside the room, an object in the room, and a specific point inside. Breath, sensation of your body. Palms together in front of your heart. Again, the sound is an offering to your body. And then maybe even extend that out wherever you would like. The planet, humanity, the waters of the planet. Inhaling for Om. Namaste.